Mr. Boyd Allen.
How's it going?
Finally got you in here after you ditched us the last time, you bastard. What's been happening, sir?
No, it's been training, running the gym, getting on with things.
Living the dream. You're one of the guys who had a few things go your way in the lockdown. Like, from what I understand, you had run out your lease at the old Apex, and then lockdown kind of happened, so you only took occupation once everything was done.
Yeah, we were quite lucky. It went, like, from when lockdown started, we had just signed our new lease, and we were lucky enough to only start sort of getting things paid for and covered once COVID was slowly dying out a little bit, around September, October.
Okay. And what was the COVID time? Just keep that close to you, please, boy. Otherwise, people are going to shout at me saying they can't hear you.
Okay.
And I know, like, I mean, obviously we haven't seen you in quite a while. What was like the COVID period like for you? I mean, there was boxing was like on and off for a little while, then it was on and off for a little while, and then it was eventually on. And then how was the whole the training process out of the gym and keeping active at home?
It was a bit frustrating. We had prep for a fight, which was in March as well, for the 21st. Yeah. That got put off 6 days before, and it was pushed out a month later, then 2 months, then 4 months, then 6 months. So, yeah, it was pretty frustrating, but we managed to train and stay fit and in shape. So we were quite lucky there. And the fight did happen in October last year. So, yeah, I mean, we got to put in some work, but not the type of work we would have liked.
Sure. But like that was also the same for everybody, not to say your opponents had the same problems to deal with. And it was interesting, but it was still like, I mean, we haven't seen MMA return yet, but on the boxing perspective, it was still good quality boxing. The guys were still in good shape, and it seemed like, you know, all the guys that knew they would be competing managed to keep themselves active.
I think the guys are hungry. They want to fight.
Yeah.
They want to compete. They're athletes, and that's what we want to do.
We had Colin Nathan in here a little while ago, and we were actually talking about the fight that just happened with Rowan Campbell and Reino Liebenberg, and there was a scenario which reminded us a lot of what happened to you, and we were trying to figure out the comparisons. Did you watch that fight?
Yeah, so I think the scenario is obviously the elbows on the ropes. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
So I mean, almost identical to my situation, only that with Rowan and Reino's fight, the ref didn't stop the fight. He just pulled his hands off the ropes and told them to continue, which is what I expected to happen in my fight, but the rules are the rules.
Yeah, it's always quite interesting when those things happen, because it's like, I remember at the time there was this whole like full-on social media war between MMA community and boxing community, and but you know, I know this guy and this guy's a boxing expert and this dude's, and it was just chaos, man. And also back and forth trying to defend each other's sport, which was quite a funny scenario.
We can't cry over spilled milk. It's done now, so we've got to move on, and that's it.
Awesome, man. And gym's nice and busy now that all of
we're getting busy. I think you know, obviously once COVID's squashed for good, and hopefully it's pretty soon, then it will pick up and, you know, be a lot better. But we've managed so far, so we're very blessed.
Nice, and it's hell of a good looking facility.
Thank you.
You're kind of in with there's a CrossFit gym involved there, a coffee shop, guys, and there's all sorts of stuff. So just talk us through what's in that space.
We've kind of sort of tried to build a performance center where we've got Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, wrestling, boxing. We've got Pack Life CrossFit gym. They have their first branch that they started in Wanderers, and now they have Santon CrossFit where we are. And then there's Lift Coffee, and we've got 6 medical suites. So we've got a bio, a sports massage therapist. We've got a lady there that does nails for the girls. And we're going to build up slowly but surely with a chiro and a physio, that type of thing. Possibly an oxygen chamber in the future. And then we're looking at opening up a kids studio as well.
Okay, so awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome, man. It's nice to see guys rolling the dice on the future of the sport like that as well, because it's a big commitment, and
we need to. It's our passion, and we love it.
100%. And I see guys have been nice and busy, which is always reassuring that you haven't opened your doors to ghosts, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
You watch your fights on the weekend? You still watching MMA?
Still watching.
What's going on?
Yeah, still watching MMA, still training MMA.
What did you think about Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic?
Well, that was going to go anyway. I mean, we all know Francis just has to land one, and that's the fight, and he did.
Yeah.
I did think Stipe would probably try and wrestle him, and he attempted it. Francis had a good takedown defense, and I think that maybe got into his head a little bit. But at that level, I don't think they're phased by much.
Yeah, but do you think as a fighter, like facing an opponent with heavy knockout power, and you know the key to victory, well, you think the key to victory is going to be like wrestling, like you said, he's going to close the distance and try. I think he dug in on like a single or a double, and he sprawled quite hard, went over the body and took the back. Like at that moment, you think you're like, okay, shit, well, this changes things.
Yeah, I think that was the game changer. I'm in for a fight now.
Yeah, I think everyone wanted to see that, and it happened quite quickly, and you were like, okay.
I think once Francis puts in the time, with the right people and the right type of training, he's gonna be unstoppable. Sure.
This was one of the things we were speaking about on here last week, is how much Francis has changed in terms of his camp. And at the time, we were saying, like, obviously we know what he's working on. I mean, it's no secret, And like listening to Eric Nixick and good old Dewey Cooper and the things that they were saying, is like, the strange thing about Francis is that he's been preparing for Stipe 4 fights back, Every fight that he was preparing for, they had Stipe on their mind. And at the time, like, I didn't think too much of it, but he went out and starts like 4 dudes or 3 dudes in like less than a minute and a half, in total, while still thinking about Stipe, And at the same time, we're like, oh, he's gotten so much better. But we don't really know, because we haven't actually seen it. All we've seen him is knock people dead. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen anything else. It's literally been a minute or 30 seconds. So it was quite hard to say, oh, he's improved so much. Like, we know he's made changes, but we haven't seen improvement. I mean, he was throwing high kicks. He was
switching stance.
Yeah, he was switching to southpaw to throw like the left leg, which was quite cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was a real step up in evolution. Very, very, very intriguing. And how do you see a fight with him and the mighty John Jones going, if they can pay the man?
I'm a massive fan of John Jones. I think he's got too much skill to be beaten.
Sure.
I think, yes, there's always the possibility of the knockout and that punch landing, and John Jones can take a punch. We've seen that in the past, but from a technical point of view and just his intellectual capabilities, I think he's going to be too much for Francis.
Sure. It's super intriguing. There's a lot of back and forth about.
Nah, I think John Jones is it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Yeah. It's got to happen.
It will, if the money's right, apparently.
Yeah. Look, I think the money will be right. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, what is enough money to face Francis Ngannou right now? You know what I mean? Like, how do you put monetary value on that? I'm like, cool, I think 150 million should be good. You know what I mean?
Our face plant.
Yeah. Like, have you seen that, man? Like, yeah, he's
taking dudes' heads off.
Yeah. But it's intriguing. I think John Jones has, not to say he's, I think technically he's got way more tools than Stipe. Stipe, you know what you're going to get. Like, straightforward kind of boxing. He's going to wrestle where he can, and that's how the show is going to go. John Jones, a completely different story. Yeah?
Completely.
And I think he's weighing in at like 250 pounds now.
Yeah, he's picked up some big weight.
Hey? On the natch.
He's enjoying it.
Hey? Protein.
Yeah, just some
chicken breasts,
chicken breast,
boiled eggs,
protein shakes.
Good quality carbohydrates.
As we've seen in the past.
Boys looking thick, my man. Thick. Yeah, Rourke will be pulling up a picture for us, but he's gone surfing somewhere, I think. And old J-Rod's on the hot mic there. Who else was on there? Vicente Luque, Tyron Woodley, another tough night.
Yeah.
Old T Wood.
Well, they both rocked each other at one stage, and Woodley just couldn't stick it.
It's a weird scenario, because you're looking at Tyron Woodley and his last few performances, and everyone's like, pull the trigger. And he comes out like straight away aggressive and
over and right.
Yeah, still just doesn't work out.
He landed a few of them.
Yeah,
he tagged him a few times, and I think wobbled him once or twice. But Lecue's he's also a powerhouse, and he can take as good as he can give.
He's an absolute animal. You guys spent some time there.
Yeah,
with Henry Hooft.
Yeah. No, I think Henry's got his system down to a T, and he's really good at what he does. And his guys are all athletes, man. They fight their hearts out.
It was intriguing to see the DAS, and it seemed to like latch it on relatively easy. I mean, Tyron's no slouch on the ground. I think he submitted Darren Till by DAS, I think, actually. Wasn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Pretty sure. Yeah. And like he's a black belt, and forget, man. Once you get
level
dulled in the face, it becomes difficult to think about your jiu-jitsu. And I think obviously one of the big talking points, the return of the Sugar Show.
Yeah.
You're a Sean O'Malley fan, or where do you sit?
Yeah, I think I had been in the beginning. I think he just needs to stay humble and perform. Stop trying to get the walk-off knockouts. Do the job, and whether you get the walk-off knockout or you don't, just perform.
Yeah.
Same as Kevin Holland. Stop talking, win, and you can talk as much as you like.
For sure, the mentally undefeated Sean O'Malley. Yeah, it's intriguing, man, because it's the UFC doesn't. There's no breaks. You know what I mean? There's no easy path. And I think in the beginning, guys were trying to say, well, he's being padded, and then it was Chito Vera, big loss, and then Almeida, who's absolutely no scrub. You know what I mean? That's a tough assignment.
No, he's tough,
and he's come out to shine. So I think the UFC will be licking their lips that their star boy is back.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get some marketing value out of it. The big talking point, Mr. Allen, the return of EFC. We've seen your name being thrown around on the pieces of paper, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Are we expecting to see you back?
Yeah. So it looks like I'm going to compete on the 8th of May against Bruno Makulu.
Okay.
He's normally competing at welter middle.
Yeah, I was going to say
he's coming down to light now.
You guys are a few weight classes apart.
Yeah. So he's quite big, obviously, but. As granted, he makes the weight, I'm happy.
Okay, and what's the goal here? What's the intention?
So I just want to sort of get my career back on track with regards to MMA and boxing. I've always wanted to do both and become that hybrid athlete that can do both and can perform at a high level in both sports. So yeah, I'm gonna just give it my best and see where it takes me.
Okay, is it like a one and done with the EFC? And hoping to move on from there, or we're going to see you around for a while?
Yeah, it just depends. I think, granted my performances are good, I'd stick around for a while, and if the option comes that bigger promotion opens up their doors to me, then I'll take it with both hands.
Okay. Because I know for a long time there was attempts, you guys were trying to get to Bellator and those kind of shows. You fought in Russia. Was that your last fight?
Yeah, so my last MMA fight was Russia 2017, I think it was.
Jeez, it's long already, eh?
Yeah.
4 years ago.
3 years, yeah, 2017 or 18. So it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah. And how different is the training now? Swapping between, I mean, obviously, I remember we spoke quite a while ago before you made your boxing debut, I think, changing, or after your boxing debut, actually, you were talking about the change in the cardio system, having to go 12 3-minute rounds as opposed to like 3 5-minute rounds. What's the training like? Well, I saw you basically destroy an entire CrossFit gym the other day, so it can't be that bad.
No, I mean the training's been good. It's always tough for both sports. It's tough for boxing. It's tough for MMA. Obviously, the difference is the round times. It's 5-minute rounds now instead of 3. It's not 12 rounds. It's 5 5s, or 3 5s if it's a normal fight. And I think that the difference comes in that you have to learn and practice so many more disciplines.
Sure.
So it's not just boxing that I need to focus on. It's Muay Thai, it's wrestling, it's takedowns, it's takedown defense, it's grappling, it's chokes. So all of that mixed with striking, and it's different types of striking all in one. The movement's different, as we've seen lately with leg kicks in the UFC, how it's damaging the guys. So we've got to be smart.
And we can have a plug for Chad Honeycomb for breaking old Dom Schrober's leg right off with a calf kick. Jeepers. It was the second one he landed, I think, eh?
Yeah, he landed a few low kicks, and I think they all did damage. I
Yeah.
think that last one put the cherry on the top. And
look, I'm not going to be lining up to take one of those from Chad, if I'm honest.
I said to him today, if he ever kicks me like that, we're not friends anymore.
We can't be friends if you kick me like that. Okay, so what's your typical day like at the moment? Like how many sessions you're getting in a day?
So it looks like
how's it split up?
2 or 3 sessions a day, depending on the day and what my program is like, obviously.
Will you just pull that in again?
So I'm putting in a strength and conditioning session 3 times a week, running 2-3 times a week, depending obviously on the day. And then every day it's an MMA session, and then usually a wrestling session, and then a jiu-jitsu session at night.
Okay, so it's quite a...
Yeah, the MMA and the wrestling session is combined usually. So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone, and then the jiu-jitsu at night.
Okay. And you still throwing on the gi a bit?
Yeah, pretty much every day, at least once a day, rolling with the gi on. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned you're running in there. This is an interesting topic, and it's one I've seen, especially locally. Like, I remember seeing, I can't really remember who it was, but like leading up to a fight, and they were kept on posting like 5 miles on the treadmill and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's no secret that I'm not a long distance runner. Or
good for the short distance sprints.
Short distances, short bursts and short distances. You know, and I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, you know, like it's not really the same for one. Like it's maybe supplementary.
Yeah.
You know, but I think in terms of combat sports, both mentally and physically, like if you're running and you believe in it, like it's got to be long distances on the road. So would you say that it forms a big part of your training and it's super important?
Yeah, so running for me is more a mental session than it is an actual training session. It's nice just to flush the body, give the mind a break. You can listen to some music and go for as long as you like. I'm not running massive distances, and I normally do 2 sort of long runs a week. When I say long, either something between 6 and 10 Ks, and then I do a sprint day.
Okay.
And that varies depending on the day and what my schedule has. So either 100s, 200s, 400s, depending.
400-meter sprints must be a chore, eh?
Yeah, I hate them.
Sounds like a good time. And like Spencer, are you going onto the track or?
Yeah, so I like to go to the track, put spikes on and just go for it.
Nice. I know I've seen the Smiths. They like to do that a lot.
Same track. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So would you say there's some tools you've carried over from boxing into your training now?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's sort of aggressive striking style in boxing, and that sort of come forward pressure, and just a few angles and sort of setups to land the shots. Yeah.
Okay. And we always talk about the inevitable ring rust. Do you think that's a thing? Being out of MMA for quite some time and then getting back, I think it's going to be quite a big.
Yeah,
factor.
I think it does obviously hit you. We've seen a lot of guys feel it, and then we've seen guys that don't feel it at all.
Sure.
I'm lucky. I competed in October last year, boxing fight, so I've been in the ring, and competition is competition. So whether it's boxing or MMA, it's still competitive, and you're still walking out there under the bright lights, and you've got to perform. Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get back in.
And in terms of recovery, you doing anything special?
Oxygen chamber.
Kids are listening to, they could be like, oh, I need to get on that Boyd Allen protocol.
Yeah, look, I like going to the oxygen chamber because it's a lot easier than getting into the ice bath. And other than that, sports massage. Okay. So sports massage, ice chamber, foam rolling, oxygen chamber.
So no yoga or
no yoga.
Crazy. Come on, Boydie. Got to get on it.
I'm going to start soon.
You got to get on it.
I've been saying that for years.
Looking at the EFC landscape, is there like a route you've mapped out in your head, or are you still interested in chasing titles with the EFC? And what's like your dream kind of scenario? Because you're entering back into the space at lightweight. You've said obviously the big question around lightweight is Joe Cummins, who's the champion. I've said it for a long time. I don't see any of these guys coming back.
Yeah.
I think financially it doesn't make sense right now. I think with the COVID situation, it's not going to happen easily. So I think all of the international kind of guys that aren't in Africa, let's say, I don't think there are any really, besides maybe Simon Biong, was signed all over the place. Yeah. But like all of these kind of guys, like overseas sort of based dudes, I don't think we're going to see them again. So the big question we had was who fits into that space. I mean, obviously Eleni Lunga, who's your teammate, is the first to come to frame, and Aniset was obviously the next contender there, who's rightfully earned his shot there. So where are you on that at the moment, like in terms of a lightweight title picture?
Yeah, look, I think I'm just going to get back into the swing of things and work my way up the ladder. There are a few guys ahead of me, obviously, that have been fighting and been competing that deserve that title shot. So, I'll sit back, work my way up, and hopefully it's sooner rather than later. But I think it will be good to get the local scene growing again, where we've got all the local fighters competing against each other, and I think that was when EFC was at its best.
Sure.
When we had all the local guys fighting, guys like Jeremy, guys like Darren, Chef, Gareth, where we were competing against the local gyms, CRT versus FFM, that kind of thing. I think that's what brought the excitement to the local South African fans, and I think we've got to get back to that before we start bringing in the internationals.
I mean, it's not I've said it quite a few times. The EFC worldwide was quite a gamble, and I think at the time the goal was to attract international investment, be it maybe the UFC if possible or that kind of thing. But I also think it ended up causing more financial problems than what it was worth. You know what I mean? Like bringing guys in, paying for the flights, sorting out all the accommodation. I mean, I know that kind of stuff was sponsored. It was very cool while it lasted because you got to get this like Africa versus the world kind of thing. But yeah, I agree 100%. I think the EFC's best path forward from here is definitely going to be to. I think they'll let us pet the elephants upstairs there. bit of chaos. Sorry about that. We were saying that the route back is going to be the best route back is going to be get whatever star power is available to you here, and there's a lot. So when I saw your name on the paper, I got very excited because I was like, okay, now we're on the right track. You know what I mean? Now we're starting to look, okay, who's here, who's available, and who's willing to fight. You know, the star power of EFC, in my opinion, is local guys. It's not. We don't have to bring internationals yet. We can look across our borders at like Botswana, Namibia, Congo, and so on. You know what I mean? Probably even Mozambique to some degree, and start trying to bring these kind of like freak athletes in, and see how that holds up against local talent. So I'm happy to see that there's still a couple of guys around like yourself still looking to get back in there. And that makes me super excited. Do you have like a time frame on how long you still want to be competing?
No, so I want to compete for as long as I can. I love competition, and obviously I love the training for it too. You know, sports have always been my life. So yeah, I want to do it for as long as I can.
I can tell you one question that's going to pop up in the comments here immediately is going to be, is there still a possibility of you versus Iga Kabesa? I saw Iga posted that opponents are hard to come by for him at the moment. They were talking about him going all the way down to bantamweight, but it still seems like things are not happening.
Yeah, I don't think cutting to bantam's a good move for Iga. I think he's good at featherweight. He's strong there. He's got great wrestling. And obviously, throughout the years, especially now that I've been boxing at a certain weight, 69.85, which is junior middle, I don't see myself going back down to featherweight unless it's for a super fight for the title against Iga. But I'd need the right amount of time just to get my body right and to make sure that the cut doesn't hamper my performance in any way.
So basically what you're saying is, John Jones, show me the money.
Exactly.
For featherweight, show me the money.
Featherweight.
I hear you. You've got quite a crop of guys here. Guys like Martin, whose name was also in the paper. I think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
On the same card.
Yeah. So what's that like now? Is it like a reuniting of all the old dogs?
Exactly.
Back in the training mats.
That's exactly it. And it feels good. It feels good to have that team around me and. Just the guys that I went through the last 8 years, competing with and training with every day and going through the grind. So it's good to see, and I see the excitement in the guys and in the team again.
Extra long warm-ups now? Or?
Extra long warm-ups and always one more drill from Richie. Last one.
Get the body moving properly.
Yeah.
And what about boxing, Boyd? What happens now with your boxing career?
So I'd still like to box, obviously. In South Africa, it's a bit difficult because the boxing organization or South African Boxing and SA MMA don't like us doing both sports.
Okay.
But wherever the opportunity presents itself like it has now with MMA, I'll jump to and from. I'm not under contract with a boxing promotion at the moment, so I'm sort of free to jump back into MMA and then probably later on in the year jump back into boxing and compete there.
Another preemptive I see in the comments section is a boxing fan saying you lost and now you're running away. What would you say to that?
I'd say there's no boxer in South Africa that can do what I can do. They can't change between two sports, and I don't think they would want to, even if they could. Yeah. I can and I want to, so I'm going to do it.
Do you think we'll ever see someone cross over? I know I did a radio interview with Kevin Lorena once, and he said to me that Graham had been begging him for years to move over, and his response was, "You can't afford me," and probably right. But do you think we'll ever see that, like one of those guys, like a guy like Kevin?
I train obviously with a lot of boxers, and there's guys like Kevin Lerena, Rowan Campbell, Chris Thompson. They're athletes. They're not just boxers. They're athletic guys, and they can learn a skill like MMA. And I'm sure one day we'll probably see them cross over and sort of dabble in the dark side.
So you're like a double agent right now.
Yeah,
recruiting for MMA.
I mean, there have been guys that have gone from MMA into boxing, but not sort of as successful, where they've won titles and things like that. But it would be nice to see an actual traditional style boxer cross over into MMA and try his luck there and sort of test himself in that world.
Yeah, like Chris Thompson, I think would be a great fit.
Yeah, completely. He's an athletic guy. He's big, strong. He's exciting to watch when he boxes, especially. Yeah. But he's also the type of guy that can pick up on things quickly. So if you show him something on the ground or you show him a wrestling position, he picks it up fast and he implements it.
So we'd be giving him the Chuck Liddell protocol, the sprawl and brawl to start.
That's it.
I like it. Sign me up. I want to see it. I mean, if they're talking about, I don't even know who these oaks are, like AKA and somebody fighting, I'm like, if that shit can happen, surely we can get a guy like Chris Thompson in there.
Yeah, I think we never know what the future holds, and as long as the doors are open for athletes to compete, they're going to compete in all the fighting sports. I mean, I do jiu-jitsu competitions, wrestling comps, MMA, boxing. That's what it's about. Put yourself out there, try something new, and challenge yourself.
And what do you think it's going to be like when the EFC eventually returns to fight in a abandoned arena, in essence?
No, I think the athletes are super excited for it, and it's going to be a little bit different. EFC's always pull the crowd, and it's always awesome walking out there with all that support and the fans going crazy. Sure. So it's going to be a bit different, but I kind of know what to expect because that's what happened in the boxing community as well. We didn't have a crowd when I was competing, and if I'm honest, I way prefer a crowd compared to not having one. But as long as the guys get to compete and put on a show for the fans, even though they're watching from home, it's what we love.
For sure, it's intriguing to see how I remember the UFC first came back. Because it was quite quick. It was like 5 weeks. They had gone for 5 weeks, and then it was just like they were hell bent on catching up. Yeah. But in that time space, it seems, like everyone was talking about the size of the cage maybe was affecting and XYZ. But I think it was exactly that. It was the determination to compete and having that ability to be out there during all of this craziness. You know what I mean? So it's really getting guys like juiced up.
Yeah, and I think the guys also just learned how to hustle. They couldn't train the way they usually do. They had to hustle, train from home, train with a partner that you knew, wasn't around other people, that type of thing. So, yeah, if anything, COVID's taught us how to hustle, and now we're hungry to compete. And I think a lot of athletes are going to be putting up their hands.
Do you think there's a risk of like seeing past one round, seeing guys fatigue easier and that kind of thing, and they just haven't been putting in the work they should have been?
I don't think so. I think the guys all know that if they're going to step in there, they need to be conditioned, and if they step in there and they're not, there's no one else to blame but them.
For sure. Interesting.
So, I don't think they're going to be too out of shape. I think it could be quite exciting.
Okay. A little. Hey, actually, we talking about a boxer crossing over. A little bird told me that young Luke Hendricks is on the amateur scene as we speak.
Yeah. So he's he went to the amateur MMA trials. I think he's made the team, as far as I can see it. And obviously he's 1-0 as a pro boxer with 1 knockout. And that's exactly what we're trying to create, a hybrid athlete. Who's next?
I want to see young Luke there. Obviously he's got a sprawl and brawl.
Yeah.
Mini Chuck. We'll call him Mini Chuck for now.
He can wrestle, he can grapple, he's got a skill set.
Yeah.
He was with us on the black mats for quite a while at FFM. So
he's ready to go?
Yeah, he's ready.
Nice, that's exciting. Your butt, we're going to get him out of retirement as well.
Oh, that's a different story altogether.
Get them going.
Yeah, it would be fun for South Africa to see that, but I don't see it coming.
What would you say is your long-term goal for MMA specifically right now?
So obviously compete at the highest level possible. If any doors open abroad, then go and do that, and then just grow the sports in the country. I think we need to obviously get as many promotions going as possible, amateur or pro, and just have options for guys. And that's where we need to go now. So there's one or two promotions that are opening up. I think it's Versus MMA that I actually saw it this morning. There's Alpha MMA, so I think it's going to grow slowly but surely, and we need it.
Yeah, the big problem at the moment is like we seem to gain one then lose one, you know.
Which and we need a feeder system too, guys like UFC. Yeah. We need that system where the youngsters can sort of come out of school and already be competing at a high level in a pro promotion.
Sure. And this is one of the things, unfortunately, here where ego always gets in the way is that I don't think, and I think it goes both ways from amateur promotion to the EFC and EFC looking back as well. I don't think the EFC, for whatever reason, is too perturbed on what's going on below them. You know what I mean? Well, I'm sure they are to some degree, but like I always say, if it was me, I'd be at those events, you know what I mean, scouting personally, seeing who's who, seeing who the buzz is about, and just galvanizing those guys, you know. You look at like the Dana White looking for a fight. When Dana was told this is the fight to watch, those guys knew it as well, you know. So that, and their performances were ramped up. I'd really like to start seeing that and just give the amateur promotions that kind of support as well, you know.
Yeah. I think also because the local scene is so small, the moment there is someone, you know, of a noticeable nature, the EFC, Graham and Kyra, they hear about it straight away.
Yeah.
So whether they're at the events or not, you know, they get to hear about it quickly. Like there's this guy that's just tearing through everybody, and you know, it gets to them quite quickly. But it would be nice to see guys like that going to the amateur events and watching sort of the main fights, the amateur title fights and things like that, to see who they can bring in next.
Sure. And I think it'll create a lot of excitement for them as well, you know, like the scout is here to watch me perform, which I think is quite cool.
Puts pressure on the guys and they got to perform.
Obviously, you're in your own gym space now, but is coaching long-term, coaching fighters, that kind of thing on your mind?
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I coach every day, pretty much every day, and there have been a few guys that have asked if they can try and compete in amateur MMA, jiu-jitsu comps, boxing comps, that kind of thing. I don't see myself as the greatest coach. I like to see myself more as the athlete than the coach. But I think as I get more and more involved and I commit myself more to it, I think there's a future for that.
Okay. Why do you say you don't see yourself as a coach? It's not. It's hard. It's not. People don't understand. It's not an easy thing to do. Like sometimes to express and to explain things inside of your head is not always.
I think coaching is a gift. I mean, Rich has always said to us, Rich being my head coach, he's always said there's guys that can coach, there's guys that can fight, and there's guys that can do both.
Yeah.
And you know, I've always liked to listen and learn and try and implement. And I don't know if I've got that coaching ability to sort of take someone right to the top. But as I progress in my career, that could change.
Okay. Interesting. Excuse me. And the banging coming from wherever that's coming from. What is it like, do you think that drew you back to MMA? I mean, obviously the opportunity opened itself, but is there something inside of yourself that you want to prove, or?
Yeah, I think, you know, MMA for me, so boxing is boxing, and it's an art in itself. Yeah. MMA, you can be creative, and I think that's what we want to do. We want to be creative. We want to sort of come up with something that will make the crowd sort of go, wow, that was crazy. Sure. That's what I want to watch. I want to see that again. And unfortunately in boxing, other than an amazing knockout, there's not much else you can do other than box.
Sure.
Where in MMA, there's so many ways to finish a guy, to knock a guy out, to submit a guy. And that's exciting because it's the fact of we don't know.
Sure.
So in boxing, you know, it's going to be a TKO, it's going to be a KO, the ref's going to stop the fight, or it's going to be a decision. Where in MMA, there's so many ways the guy can win or lose that it makes it exciting. And there's never a chance where you can say, this guy's definitely going to win.
It's getting crazy, eh? You guys want to maybe ask him to give us 5 minutes there, if you don't mind. Where is that coming from? Upstairs? Such is the life of podcasting, eh? Sometimes things happen.
My apologies.
No worries, man. Do you think the boxing community's accepted you a little bit more now? I know I was having a laugh with Colin. Remember, like in your earlier fight, it was a lot of reference to a cage fighter and these kind of strange things. Do you think you had to kind of earn that respect from them?
Yes and no. I mean, they should be open-minded when someone comes from a different combat sport and enters that arena. And a lot of guys weren't. I'm not going to say any names, but I think it's just because they're blinded by tradition, and they only see one thing. They believe boxing is the best combat sport, and that's that. And that's okay. There's no one that's going to tell them any different.
Sure.
And that they're in their bubble and they believe what they believe. But venture out a little bit, explore something, challenge yourself, and open up to the possibility of looking at different athletes from different combat sports coming into boxing or vice versa into MMA. I think that shows character, and that also really allows you to use the saying, leave the ego at the door.
Sure. Obviously, we're going to see you in action 8th of May. You mentioned Bruno Makulu. What do you think people can expect to see from the, I want to say, newer version of Boyd Allen, but let's say the more experienced version of Boyd Allen?
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know when you step in there, the guys come to fight, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want to put on a show for the crowd. I want people to go, that was a fight to remember, and get back in there as soon as possible.
Fantastic. As always, thank you for your time. I know we're a hop and a skip down from Apex. Just on that, where can people find Apex? How can they follow you guys? Instagram handles, that kind of thing?
So the gym's in Parkmore here in Sandton, just around the corner from Golds and from BigAl Podcast. Yeah. We're on the corner of Olympia and 11th Avenue. And you can follow us on Instagram at Apex Gym. So, yeah, I mean, if they want to check it out, come through.
Some say it's some of the funniest Instagram around town, so...
The funniest.
So definitely check it out.
It's not me.
Yeah.
It's not me.
You
so
keep,
if you DM
keep saying that.
It's not me that replies.
Is that directed at the people of Fourways or just in general?
So again, it's not me.
Yeah, it is always worth a good chuckle. Mr. Allen, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Very, like I said, very excited to see your name on the hit list there for the returning folks of EFC. I know the EFC's got a hard road in front of them to make this become a reality. So yeah, kudos to them, and hopefully this is all smooth sailing till the 8th of May, and we can see you guys back in there.
Thanks so much, Al.
Fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Catch you guys soon. Peace.